Hello and welcome to Buckle Up. I'm Harry King and this is the Volvo XC90. But is it the ultimate family car? We'll start here at the front, where we can see that Volvo adopted its usual design language of the time for the front of this vehicle. This was Volvo's first ever attempt at an SUV, and luckily, I think that their design language translates quite well to a high-bodied vehicle, unlike some other manufacturers' first attempts. Otherwise on the front, it's fairly standard. It's Swedish, so there are washer jets for the light. There's actually quite an aggressive approach angle for the front, which is interesting because it's never really been considered to be a proper hardcore off-roader, but it does have a lot of the things you would expect of a proper hardcore off-roader. So it's get the look. It's got the look. Let's see how the look continues down the side. Now here at the side, I think Volvo have managed to do it again. They've turned what a lot of manufacturers end up making a sort of awkward shape where they use raising body lines or black roof inserts to try and hide the bulk of the vehicle, and they've made it look quite good. It's almost elegant. I think Volvo have probably more experience than anyone at making estate vehicles, which effectively is what SUVs embody in a higher body shape. So they had the knowledge, and I think the strong shoulder line in the Volvo that was across the entire range really helps with the side design as well. And finally we come here to the back, where you find the obligatory tow bar. So this would work if you have horses or a caravan, and importantly a split folding tailgate, which is one of my favourite things you can get on a car. Proper tailgate with proper metal struts supporting it, and you can sit up here and bang your wellies together and all that other stuff that you can do with a split folding tailgate. Now you will see in the boot I have arranged it so one side is fully open and the other side has the third row installed, and that's to display the versatility of the space and nothing to do with the fact that the seat mechanism for this seat is jammed. Talking about that seat folding wizardry, let's go to the second row and do a bit more seat folding before I actually climb inside the car. I'm now going to try and demonstrate all of the seat folding shenanigans that can occur in this car. I think the best place for that from is halfway into the middle row. Let's start with this middle seat because it does a couple of little tricks. The first one being it has a built-in child seat. So you pull this lever at the front and then this goes back and clips into place there. And then I believe you can then pull the entire chair, oh God, forwards. So then it would also, you know, then if you had a small child here, they'd get a good view out the windscreen. You'd be able to turn around and deal with them if you're an adult. And it's worth noting that the seatbelt comes with the chair, as does the buckle. So all of that is retained and kept safe. It's also on a little seatbelt helper here, which is actually stopping it from going back in, weirdly. But yes, so we'll move that one back now. I believe all of the seats actually slide forwards and backwards at the front. So if you just have small children in here, you can maximise luggage space or third row space if you need to. And then the folding of the seats is very simple. You literally just pull this little lever here and the whole thing moves as long as that lever's pulled up. And then you can, well, I say easily access the third row, but I'm looking at this space that I'm now standing in. I don't think I'll climb through it gracefully. Should we give it a go? Okay, I'll just step on the SIPS tread plate. Oh, the door's not quite tall enough. If this headrest up... Oh, my microphone's caught. Now, here's where this car loses out to the Discovery 3 that I have previously reviewed. This third row is not really capable of holding adults comfortably. You can see I don't have any headroom at all. And also, if I pull this seat back... Oh God, that's difficult. I don't think that's even locked in place, but that's against my knee now, and it's not all the way back to where it was. So you also wouldn't be able to fit an adult in that seat with an adult in this seat, if that makes sense. It's really very much just for children. Now, as a space for children, it is very well equipped. You have all these little storage bins. You've got 2 cup holders per side. You've got this little centre storage area, and the seats are quite nice and plush. They've got this interesting pattern on the sides. I don't know what that's for. It sort of looks like an 80s biker jacket, but yeah, it's definitely a child space, not an adult one. Now, as an adult occupant in the second row, things are a lot better. There is enough knee room, although this kind of suffers from the problem the early 2000s had, where it sort of reached peak bigness, but not peak packaging. So this actually has less legroom in it than a Land Rover Discovery Sport, which is a significantly smaller car. Now, the benefit, I suppose, of this reduced legroom there, reduced legroom here, is you do get that boot space left at the back. But how far are you ever going with 7 people in the car? The leather in here is actually quite nice. It's still in relatively good nick considering the age of the car. You've got these big seat back pockets that seem to widen as they go down. What's slightly odd is the seat backs, they seem to almost come out to meet me exactly where my knees end up at the back of the seat. You do get little air vents here at the side, which is quite nice because a lot of vehicles of this age didn't have rear air vents or directional air vents at all, really. So that's a nice benefit for the backseat passengers. And obviously you have grab handles and little vanity lights, which aren't on because the car's not on. Because this middle seat is so clever and can do all these fancy things, it doesn't actually have an armrest in it, but I believe I can fold the whole thing down if I was desperate for an armrest, but there's no cup holders in it and it's a bit too low to be useful. Yeah. Oh God. You see, this is, yeah. The more I delve into this, the more I'm starting to think that maybe the Discovery 3 is nicer. Should we look in the front, see if my suspicions are confirmed? So, family seating logistics aside, how is it for the heads of the household up here at the front? Well, it's a lot better. Because one, you don't have to bother with any stupid seat controls. The seat controls in the front are nice, simple, and electric, as all luxury things should be. So the seat base will do this. It adjusts in 2 ways, and the back goes backwards and forwards. And obviously, the distance from the pedals is also controlled that way. You also have full adjustment of this steering wheel, and it really is a lot of adjustment. The up and down is not massive, but look how far in and out this goes from the dashboard. So really, wherever you want your steering wheel, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. Everything else is pretty standard to a Volvo if you've been in a Volvo of this age. All of these, especially all these aircon buttons, they're all proper dials, but in this car, they're sort of behind the automatic shift lever. So if you're adjusting things while you're parked, it's a bit awkward. You also have your phone pad and your radio volume and everything and all of that stuff, and your screen. And when I say phone pad, I really mean phone pad. Hello, I'd like to buy some stonks. That's where your telephone is if you want to talk to your girlfriends or whatever. You also, in the middle, have these cup holders. They are of a good size and they have little rubber tabs to hold your drinks in place. You do also have bottle holder shaped cubbies in all of the doors, but they're not that good. They're only good for like small sealed bottles. You also have quite a large glove box, but also, oh my gosh, a very large owner's manual. Look at that. This is how you control the infotainment system. And look, it's got 6 buttons as well. You'd have thought, oh, they've got a remote control because they have lots of complex and shortcut buttons that they want you to use for the infotainment, so it's really fast. No, it's 6 buttons. They could have put it anywhere on the steering wheel. They could have fitted it in that space there. They could have fitted it round here, or made it a touchscreen. There are so many better solutions than this, because there's no way in hell you're using this while you're driving, ever. The one thing that this car is always going to win at is safety, in the knowledge that you and your family are safe. And that's probably a value you can't really put a price on. So if the most important thing to you is you or a loved one's safety, this is probably the car to get. That's quite serious for this channel, but seemed worth it. I've probably covered everything, so shall we go for a drive? So here we are driving the Volvo XC90, and it's a thoroughly refined experience. The Swedes have really gone to town on this one, and actually in a lot of ways this is nicer to drive than the Discovery 3 was on the road. One, it's lighter, not a huge amount lighter, but I mean there are small planets lighter than a Discovery 3. This is still north of 2 tons, but the weight difference does make a difference. Turning is just easier, braking feels better, and I don't have as much of the vagueness in the wheel as I did in the Land Rover, but obviously there's still a significant amount of vagueness compared to something like a saloon car. What I wasn't expecting is under hard loads the engine actually sounds quite fruity, which it'll be because it's a 5-cylinder engine, so it almost sounds like half a V10. Is kind of the best way to explain why 5 cylinders sound good. But if you listen to any 5-cylinder engine, they tend to be fairly charismatic, even the diesel ones. So this does benefit there, but I don't know if you'll be able to. It's got a bit of growl to it, rather than a vague rumbly noise that you get from most diesels, something agricultural. At speed, I'm not hearing a lot of road noise, I'm not hearing a lot of wind noise, the suspension is very good. Obviously, as you can see, I'm wobbling around a little bit, but this is quite an undulating road, and in terms of going over bumps, I'm not rocking backwards and forwards, and I'm not crashing around either. The brakes are also very good. I believe I already mentioned that, but I have just had to slow down to let this Range Rover go past. That is the sensors telling us how close they were. It does have slightly over-eager sensors, and there's not a brilliant sense of which sensors are going off at any given moment. Visibility for a large 7-seat vehicle is all right. There's not really any sense of windows existing behind me, because the rear view mirror in the centre isn't wide enough to make any use of them. And I mean, turning round's not a brilliant option. If you are reversing, turning round, there is decent visibility still, but it's almost like driving something with panel sides. But the wing mirrors are massive, and the edges have an almost hall of mirror glass effect to them, which lets you see even further. You know, like when you're walking through a slightly dodgy train station and they have those curved mirrors so you can see if you're about to get mugged. It's got like that on the edge of the door mirror, so I can see almost next to me on the other side of the road. I'm definitely feeling the age of the gearbox. One, I feel like it's holding the car at higher revs than it needs to for fuel economy, in a way that's then not paid off by throttle response, because it's still quite a heavily turboed diesel engine, so even when you hold it high in the rev range, you're not going to get immediate throttle from it anyway. I think it would be better if it was tailored towards fuel economy. That's probably what more drivers would be interested in than being able to mat it at any given moment. That's why most cars that have a comfort setting are left in it. I think basically, if we're looking at this sensibly, just about everything quantifiable about this that you could think towards driving on the road is going to be better than the Discovery 3, but it's not making me feel as good as the Discovery 3 did. I just felt better in the Discovery 3, and I suspect that's the reason that the Discovery 3 sold so well, but if you were just being logical, this is the car you would have every single time. Well, it's not quite won me over. I'm still thoroughly enjoying myself. I don't want to claim that this isn't something that is right up my street, because it absolutely is. And I love these cars, and I love these cars for one very important reason. No one has ever been killed in one in a crash. They're just about the safest car you could buy, and for that reason it's a car that I would recommend quite happily to anyone, because then I know that I will not be responsible for their death. It's always it's a reassuring feeling, at least, because there are lots of cars you can recommend to people. Toyota Corolla always comes close towards the top of the list, and certainly reliability wise this will cost you more money, because things don't go wrong on a Volvo that often, but when things do go wrong it is expensive. Being the most premium model, everything is draped in varying levels of luxury. The steering wheel has gone shiny because it is not real leather, but it still feels sturdy and it's not sticky. So I'm not going to complain about that too much. The seats have lots of adjustment, they'll adjust any which way you can think, and generally the materials on here are of a good quality for the age of the vehicle. And this car has 126,000 miles on it, and all of the leather is still in great nick, so it's obviously stood up to the test of time. It's held up to its MO of being a luxury way of getting a family of up to 7 people around. And I think it would continue to serve that mission if that's what you need a car to do. You pick one of these up for not very much money at all now, especially an early one, and you know it's going to be safe. The 5-cylinder diesel engine, it does fairly good economy considering the size of the vehicle and the power numbers, and it does decent performance. I think I've sprouted up enough thoughts about this car, so let's go somewhere for me to do a conclusion. So then, summing up the XC90, well, if what you care about is safety before anything else, which, let's be honest, that's not a bad way of thinking, this is definitely your car, especially if you have a large family or need to carry a lot of people around on a regular basis. However, if you just care about the rear seat practicality, and I'll be clear here, other 7-seat cars aren't dangerous. It's not like it's this or a shark attack. You know, they're just not as safe. So honestly, if I was regularly putting people in that third row, I would rather have a Discovery. Maybe the seats are slightly more convoluted when you initially look at them, but in terms of ease of operation over the lifetime of the vehicle, I would find the Discovery seats far more useful, and just its whole layout in general, I think I prefer. And also, as far as driving goes, I think the Discovery just edges this on a, I don't know, like a little wow factor. For whatever reason, when I'm driving the Discovery, I just felt better than I did in this. Even though figures-wise, like composure, road holding, all of those things, this is as good as or better than the Discovery. Just for me, the Discovery just had that little spark in it that made it a car that I enjoyed more. I would still say this is a brilliant car, and if you're looking for a practical, safe family hauler, then this should definitely be on your shopping list, especially if you're shopping for a cheap second-hand one, because this is going to offer peace of mind that basically nothing else can. But otherwise, I'll be in a Land Rover. So guys, thank you so much for watching. Please remember to like, comment down below if you have anything to say about what I've said here or about the car in general. And most importantly, subscribe. Down below the video you will find all of our social media links, Facebook, Twitter, all of the rest. They're all there, and our Patreon. If you would like to give us some money, please do. We also have merch, which is another way of giving us money, but you get something in return. So that you might find that preferable, I don't know. But whatever you do, just give us some money, please. Bye.